What's up everyone? Hope everybody is doing well. Today I have another editing tutorial for you guys, and I'd like to call this one Enhancing Your Videos, or being creative with your editing videos. Um, a lot of times we may not have the resources or the programs to make cool effects like After Effects or something like that. After Effects is also very hard to learn, so we may not know After Effects, or we may not just have the program entirely. So this is really about being creative with what footage you have, and making a frame like this um, look cooler. So I'm going to teach you how to make this. Made this a few days ago for Pastor Jimmy's intro, and everything that you see here you can do within Premiere. So like I said, it's all about being creative with what you have. The only thing that was added in was this blue flare here, and that you can just get offline, so I can probably send that to you guys. Okay, so let's get started. So I'm just going to take a few frames of Pastor Jimmy here and just bring it in to it. Oh, that's really small actually. That's actually tiny, but that's okay. I'll zoom in just so you guys can see. Okay, and a lot of times when you bring in a frame from another video, you have to enlarge it like this. So you just go over, remember you click on the clip and then you click on motion, and that'll give you the wires, the image wires. You can just drag it out like that. Okay, cool. So first thing that I did with this is I like black and white. So I usually go to fast color correction, or fast color corrector, and I drag it right into my clip. And right away, I am going to turn the saturation level to 0. Boom, black and white. There we go. And I may turn the blacks down a little bit to give it a little bit of a contrast, maybe turn the mids up. You know, I don't really need to do a lot of adjusting there. And the second thing I did with this was I added a lens flare. So if you look in here and you see this little light, that's actually a lens flare that I added in. That's not coming from these lights up here. Um, and again, it's all about being creative and, you know, thinking, hey, I could add this, I could add that. So I'm going to type in lens flare, and we are going to drag that in. Boom, woo, there it is. Okay, so obviously this is way too heavy, way too bright. So what we want to do is we want to adjust the lens flare a little bit. So, and you can play around with it. This is all your preference. I usually like using the 105 prime lens. So if you go over to lens type, there's different types of lenses. So you have your 50 to 300, and this is just basically mimicking what these actual lenses from a real camera would look like. You have your 35 millimeter prime, but I always seem to use 105 prime for some reason. And every time I put the lens flare in, I always go through them and I look to see which one looks best, and I almost always end up on 105 prime. So the next thing that I do is, because I want to make it look like it's coming from these lights up here, I'm actually going to move the lens flare up. So if you go to flare center, move it to the side a little bit so you can move it up and down, see, like that. So I'm going to move it up a little bit. And then to get rid of all this, because this just looks unrealistic, I'm going to bring the brightness down like a good bit. So right now it's at 100%. You know, I could bring it up to, you know, a white screen, but right now it's at 100%. So I'm going to bring it down to maybe about 26, 27% there. That looks pretty good. And I'm actually going to bring the lens flare up a little bit more to go with the stage lighting up there. I mean, you guys can put this wherever you want. It doesn't really matter. I think in my original picture, I had it down a little bit and to the right about there where his hand is. So we have, so now, there we go, now we have our lens flare, and you can also say blend with original, so which also kind of turns the brightness down a little bit, so I might turn it down just a little bit there, and with original. And there you go, so that's the lens flare. And the next thing I added was another type of flare, and this one I actually got off of videohive.com. And VideoHive is just a site where you can download different templates, and sometimes those templates come with individual assets for After Effects, and so I actually use those for different videos. So I have this flare here, just like so. So I'm going to take a little bit of that and put an in point there, put an out point there, and and it's really long, so I'm going to cut that. In order to cut, you can press B to bring up your blade tool, or you can go over here and just click that. It's easier to use the shortcut though. Okay, so now you see that flares, that's what I called it. Flare is right on top of it because I put it on top. And now you're like, whoa, it's on top of it, now it's black, what's going on? So that's where blending modes come in. And this is where the creativity happens in your blending mode. So if you go over to Effect Controls and you go to Opacity, and you see these different blend modes, and you can darken, and again, it's all based on your preference, whatever you feel looks best. But in order to see the full picture, I'm going to click Add. So linear dodge and then Add in parentheses. And there it is. So now we have our blue lens flare and we have our white lens flare in there. And the next thing I'm going to add is color bars. And that's something that I like to use a lot. I think it adds a cool dimension. It makes it kind of unique. And it adds a nice kind of urban feel to a video. And so I'm going to go to File, New, Bars and Tone. That's where you're going to find that. And you just say OK. You don't have to worry about the questions. And there it is, my bars and tone. So I'm going to double click that. Double click. Yep. So I have my bars and tone, and I'm just going to drag it in. Now, when you drag in your bars and tone, it's going to do this. But obviously we don't want that. We don't even want the sound. So really, I'm actually going to delete this and drag it in again with just the video. If you want to drag just video in, you can click that and it'll just take in the video. I just turned off the audio. So now the video's there, and I'm going to put this on top of the flares. And here we go again with the blending modes. So I'm going to select bars and tone, go to Effect Controls, and bring down my opacity, and I'm going to change my blending mode to multiply. Okay, and there it is, multiply. So it looks pretty cool. So now you can see how the lights, are looking different colors, it looks pretty cool. But I don't want the entire screen to be like this, so I'm actually going to scale this up like that, and then I'm going to just move it. So I'm going to click on motion so I get the wireframes up, and I'm going to move it myself to the right side of the screen. Now, you guys, if you want to have different colors, feel free to do this. You can do whatever you want, really. If you want the red to be showing, then you can crop. If you go to Effects and type crop, you can crop off, whichever edge you want. I'm just showing you what I did. And so I brought it over here, just like that. And the reason that Diverse Church is colored is because the video that I brought in is the final product. But normally it would look like that, because I put diverse church on top of the color bars. But in this example, I'm showing you that it's mixing in because it's already a finished video. So yeah, that is the first intro frame, and wherever it went. Oh. So yeah, that's the first intro frame, and it looks pretty similar. And another thing that I wanted to show you guys was another video clip that I like to use a lot that can also enhance videos. And this is also from a template that I got offline. And this was one of their assets that they use for After Effects. And I took it and I just videos here. So if I bring in, I'm going to bring in the rest of PJ's intro video. So put the in point there, put the out point there. Okay. So I'm going to enlarge it a little bit. There we go. So there's no audio because when I exported this, I just did this as an example. But as you can see, you know, it looks kind of boring, right? So for a clip like this, where he's talking, you know, and there's nothing really there except for the black and white, I usually like to use these, I don't even know what to call it. We'll just call it crazy wire lines and stuff. So a lot of times I will take a piece of this and maybe put the endpoint right there. And a lot of times I'll look through it to see, you know, where it's the best place. So something like right here where it says commercial, I don't want to get that because this is not a commercial. But I'll take this piece right here. So for something like this, you know, you see that he's talking and, you know, he's preaching, and there's nothing really, it just looks kind of boring, you know, and then all it does is turn to black and white. So what I usually do is I will go to that exact place where he's talking, and I'll take my blade tool and I'll cut in the place where I want to put the effect, where I want to overlay the video. So I'll put it about right here. So this section right here is where I'm going to overlay the video. So if I take a piece of this template that I have here and I put it on top of the video, and I'm just going to stretch that so it goes to the end. And again, back to blending modes. I'm going to change the blending mode to add. So I'm going to go to linear dodge and click add. And just like that, you know, it looks so much better when I play it. You know, has, you know, kind of that robotic, kind of techie feel to it with the color bars popping up and down. So it just makes it so much better. And again, you can mess with the different blending modes. You know, you can say darken, you can say screen, which is pretty similar to add, actually. Looks almost the same. But I'm just going to stick to add for now. Yeah, and that's another way to enhance your videos. So, you know, things like that, putting different clips on top of another. I'll show you another example that I can send you guys the link to. This one I call Color TV because it looks like an old TV and it's got these different colors rolling back and forth. So if I put an in point and out point where, you know, there's some pink and there's some blue here, and I drag that on top of the clip that I want. So first I have to enlarge it so it goes over. And then say I choose the blending mode. let's say soft light, see what that does. And so that kind of gives them a little interesting color. I would probably mess with these a little bit, you know, like maybe screen and then turn the opacity down. So that's always an option too. So you can always turn the opacity down. You can say multiply in this case probably wouldn't look good. But yeah, it's one of those things you just mess with the different blending modes and see what you like best. So yeah, we'll send you this, the color TV, and I will also send the flares, as well as the link to where I got this color TV effect. So yeah, if you guys have any questions, feel free to send me an email or just comment in the comment box. All right, have a good one.